Alright everybody, welcome back to another episode of Ink Brothers. Today I'm going to show you how to do weather effects, i.e. rain and snow. So I know in our last video, Corey told you that we were going to do the logic part of the last chess video he did. But that's really more his baby, so I'm going to let him handle that. And he's a little busy this weekend, so unfortunately, I'm going to have to put a pause on that, but I promise it is coming. Alright, and so for this, we're just going to go ahead and jump right into it. The first thing you're going to want to do is, we're going to handle rain first. Alright, so the first thing you're going to want to do is you're going to want to go over here to modes. You're going to want to come over here to paint mode. And for me, whenever I'm making rain, I personally like to use the dots here because I think that more symbolizes rain the best. And here, one sec. I still have my surface snap on, so let me just go ahead and take that off real quick. Oh, and while I'm at it, let's go ahead and change the color to white. And for me, rain usually takes like a white or a really, really light blue color, or whitish blue color. But I'm just going to go ahead and stick with white because I think this is more accurate picture of what rain is going to look like. So you want to go ahead and make this really, really tiny. And you're also going to want to turn on your grid right here. And what you want is a nice long straight line down. Okay, so I'm going to come all the way up here. I'm going to go ahead and hold L1 first before anything, and then I'm going to hold R2, and I'm going to bring it all the way down, a really, really long line. Whoop. Okay, that should be good. Alright, you can go ahead and take your grid off. And you can actually go ahead and come out of paint mode altogether. So what we're going to want to do is we're going to go ahead and scope into this. And we're going to come over here to the animation. And we're going to pump up our playback speed by, now I played with this a little bit, and I think about 4,000 is good. Now it doesn't have to be exactly 4,000, and to prove my point, I'm not going to leave it at 4,000. I am going to make it an even number though. There we go. Okay. I just can't do odd numbers. I hope you understand. Alright. So about 4,000 is good. You want to turn on your pulse. And we can go ahead and click R3 so we can see it in action too. And that's actually pretty slow. So let's go ahead and bump that up. That's still pretty slow for me. Before 4,000 was good, but that is just not even close to what I want. I don't know why it was so slow. Let's see. Okay, so that looks about good for rain. Let me pump it up just a little bit more. Ah. Oh, can't have that? Okay, here we go. Okay, so that looks about good for rain. So before 4,000 was doing good, I guess for this particular event I'm going to have to do 20,000. But regardless of whatever this number is, you want your rain to be falling at about this pace. So when it looks close to that, I guess depending on how fast you draw the line, the paint stroke, it's going to change what this number is going to need to be. But regardless, this is about the pace you want for your raindrop. Alright, so while we're in here, we're also going to change our opacity of the raindrop to about 50%. And that's because raindrops, you can kind of see through them, so you don't want it at 100. So real raindrops, you're going to want to, to simulate them, you're going to want to bring this down a little bit. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and stop this right here. Find my little raindrop. Here we go. I'm going to copy and paste. Now you don't want this at the same height. Okay, so let's go ahead and group them so we can access them easier in the future. Alright, we're going to scope into the group. And we're just going to copy and paste. Okay, so, and again, you want these at different heights. That way all your raindrops aren't falling at the same height at the same time at the same speed. Now you can also fix this by drawing different strokes, like just more than one stroke while you're in paint mode, but I find that this way is just nicer, honestly. For me, if it's you prefer to do it the other way, you can also do that as well. Alright, let's see, we have about 9 strokes here, so that's gonna work. Now what you also want to do is you want to highlight 3 or 4 of them, not all of them, about half, maybe a little bit less. And you want to come in here and you want to further decrease their opacity to about 20. And what that does is it not only makes your raindrops different from each other, so not all the same, but it also gives you a slight perspective to where some raindrops are farther away than other raindrops. So those just being a little bit lighter makes them look farther away, so you have more depth in your rain. Alright, you can come out of that group. Actually, no, I just lied. We're going to go back into that group. Oops, and we're going to highlight all of these guys. Alright, and we want to change. Last thing we wanted to do is we want to come over here to duplicates, and we want this to be around the camera. Alright, now you can come out of your group. So we can play it now, see it in action. Then there you go. So this is the beginnings of rain here. This is kind of more like a anywhere between a mix of a light sprinkle, I guess average, light and heavy. It's not really either one. Now what you can do if you want a heavy rain, you can just, you know, copy and paste more pieces within your group. That way you have more rain falling at a time. Now say you wanted like maybe there was like a storm going on and there's some wind in it. What you can do is you can just take this whole group, and this is why it's nice to have them all in one group. Just hold L2, and if I can grab it, there we go, and just turn it sideways like that. So now the rain's coming down at an angle, and it looks like there's kind of like a more of a storm factor to it, to your rain. Now say you're making a level, you have a lot of things left to do in it, but you do your rain or your weather halfway through, right? So, but then as you're playing it like this, you're like, okay, well this rain is kind of getting in my way now. I can't really see what I'm doing, but I don't want to delete it because it took me a long time, or you just really like it, you don't want to redo it. You can come up here, you can just hit L1 and square to bring this up for your group and turn the power off. This way, you don't have to, you can still work with it. You know, it's not gone forever. And you can just turn it back on whenever you're ready. Now something you may notice is when you go to turn it back on so it's there, it's invisible, so you can't really see it to highlight it. So what you can do is you come into your menu, you go to show hide, come all the way over here to the left, and you go to preview and visibility. You turn that off and your rain is back. So all you got to do is re-click it from here and now turn it on. And when you go back to play it, it's there again. Alright, just going to turn that back off. And we're going to delete our rain because we're done with it for now. Alright, the next thing I'm going to show you guys is how to do some snow. Alright, so we're going to come back up here to sculpt mode. To paint mode. And for me, I like to use which one? Impressionist. That's the one I used before. Also want to change this to white. Alright, and for this one, you just need kind of like I guess a diagonal 45-degree line, but you don't want it to be perfect because when snow falls, you know, it doesn't fall at a straight angle. It kind of floofs up and down as it falls. So you want kind of, well, you want to make it a little bit smaller too. So you want to just kind of just drag your line like this. Okay, something like that is good. And you want, I don't know, 4 or 5 of these lines. Make them all just a little bit different from each other. Different places. Oh, that was too high. That angle I had was a little bit crazy. So let's go back and do something like this. With the last one, just a little bit of an angle. All right. Okay. Oh, I got that weird little curve. Let me just try one more time. Okay, that should work. All right, so we come out of paint sculpt mode. We should L1 and square here. 1 second. All right, so after this, we're gonna do. So now I got this up. Okay, we kind of want to do the same thing that we did with the rain. We're gonna up the playback speed, but we don't need it to be super high for this one because snow falls a lot slower than rain does. So let's start at around 500 and see what that does. All right, we're gonna pulse this one, and I'm gonna hit R3 so I can see it in action. And you see how it has this trail behind it? Snow doesn't have any kind of trail, so we want to turn that all the way down. Take our trail length, turn it back down like that, and that way we only have one snowflake at a time. And that's falling a little too quickly for me for snow, so let's turn this playback speed down a little bit. Okay, turn that down. Let's do something like 350. Okay, that'll work for me. All right. Again, you want to come back here and turn down your opacity so you can see through snow a little bit. And I also, for snow, I like to turn up my glow just a little bit. I think it adds kind of an ethereal look to it, which is nice. But not very much, only like 5% is what I usually do. Alright, so you want to come out of this and you want to pause it. And you want this snow, if I can click a little bit. You also, ooh, I forgot to do this while I was up there. You also want it to fall around the camera. Alright, so now when you're playing it, you can kind of see it. Alright, well, here, let me turn up that opacity a little bit more. Or better yet, let me just copy and paste it. There we go. Okay, so you can kind of see it now. Alright, if that's a little bit too invisible for you, you can definitely turn up the opacity as well. 50% worked for me. This is what I would want, honestly. But if that's too light for you, then you can go ahead and change it as well. Now, before I let you go, let me go ahead and show you one other really cool thing. I'm going to make some snow for you, and I'm going to show you how to do some footprints. Alright, so right now I'm just making the snow that's going to be on the ground. Alright, so I'm just taking the shape here, my sphere. I'm going to edit it so it takes up less space. So this may take up less space, but it's also going to make, if you expand the size of this, it's going to make it a little less crisp. So it's kind of like a catch-22 there. But I don't really need this to be really huge anyway, so I'm going to do it this way. Oops. Okay, so here, let me stamp it down. Boop. Alright, I'm going to come over here to Style Mode, do Apply Fleck, and I'm going to make this, instead of the default square, I'm going to make this dots. Alright, then I'm going to loosen it up. Yeah, looks pretty good for snow, I think. I'm going to come out of that with L1 and circle. Then I'm just going to lightly place this on the ground like this. Let's do it around this tree. Oops, wrong one. Okay, this will be good to show you what I mean. Something like that. Okay. Alright. So So as you can see, I'm walking along, nothing. You got really hard snow, but you want the the footprints that follow your character. So I'm gonna come up here on this porch so it's easier to work with. I'm gonna go back in edit mode. I'm gonna scope into this. Oh, excuse me. I was gonna say I was gonna scope into the puppet, but there's one thing we need to do before we do that. We need to come over here, paint mode, and we need to make our footprint. So I'm just gonna do just a real quick, easy version. If you want to take your time and do it, then you, by all means, go ahead and do that. But I'm just gonna show you how it's done. So first, I would say footprints are usually black or probably a dark gray, actually, if you're going to be in snow. But I'm just going to use black so you can go ahead and see it. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and turn on my surface snap. This way I'm drawing on the ground. Give me a nice flat footprint to work with. That needs to be a little smaller. And I'm just going to draw a makeshift footprint, just like that. Alright, now something you want to make sure of is this footprint. You want to make sure that it is not in a group. I tried to do this earlier and I was accidentally grouped to the puppet when I made this footprint and I tried to attach it to him. And I got this really weird effect where he wasn't actually making the footprints on the ground, it was just kind of hovering near his feet. So if you're getting something like that, just make sure that your footprint is not attached to any group, it's its own thing. Alright, so now what you want to do is you want to scope into your puppet here with L1 and X. L1 and X again. And this right here, this is all the details that come pre-programmed with the puppet and the deluxe puppet that I'm using right now. We're not going to worry about all of it right now. For now, this is what we need. We need to go into sound effects here. And what this is this is for when you jump, when you land, and when your foot hits something. These are the sounds that are made upon those, like your footsteps, your landing sound, and your jumping sound. So we're just going to take this and we're going to add a little bit to it. So what I want is I want to go to Gadget. I want to have an emitter here. And this is going to emit the footprint when your foot hits the ground. I'm just going to set that right there. And I want, here, let me scope out of this real quick. You come off of here, off of your menu, and hit L1 and circle, and you'll come out of the puppet. So that way you're not grouping this footprint to the puppet. Alright. So you want to hit L1 and square on your emitter. And you want this object to emit. You want to attach it to your footprint, like this. Oops. 1 second. I don't think I grabbed the right thing. Let's try that again. Okay. Let's get a little closer so I can grab the right thing. Okay, we want a footprint. Boom. Okay. Alright. So now that we have the footprint, we don't want it to be, we want to take down our emit speed. That means what that would do is when I stepped on the ground, it would emit, instead of my footprint being right where my foot was, it would shoot out at a velocity. So I would step on the ground and my footprint would go skyrocketing to the left instead of staying where it was, where my foot hit the ground. We don't want our footprint to rotate at all, so we're going to keep that at 0. Apparent speed will be the speed at which I am moving. You know, we don't want it to move along with me. We want it to stay where it was I stepped. Time between emits, we're going to turn that down to 0. So if I'm walking, it was set at 1 second. So if I'm running faster, let me think of how to explain it. If my foot hits the ground, my second foot hits the ground quicker than a second than my last foot, then it won't emit because it will only allow that footprint to emit 1 second at a time. So I like to turn this down to 0. That way, if you're stuttering or you trip on something, you know, your footprint will still be there. We don't want it to continuously release footprints, so we want to go down to once. Emitted object lifetime. This is how long your footprint is going to stay on the ground. So let's start with something like 3 seconds. max emitted at once. All right, so how many feet print will be can be in the world at a time? So it's either going to be the 3-second rule right here or up to 20. And this is max emitted. It's already up to 20, so we can just leave that as is. All right, last thing we want to do is we want to move this footprint to be underneath our feet. Like so. Okay. So both feet are going to be spawning this footprint. So I like to kind of just put it right in the middle. That way it looks like both feet can spawn this one footprint. And that should be it. So we can go ahead and close this off, close this off, close this off, and we're going to play. Boop, boop. All right, and as you can see, it is, oh, it's not working because I didn't attach it to anything. Okay, so let's change that. Okay, so I have the emitter here, but I forgot to attach it to the foot impact. So let's go ahead and do that too to power it. All right, and we always want to make sure we keep our wires clean. So we hold X to have a little organizer here, attach it like that. Now we can see where it's coming from and where it's going. Okay, so let's try that again. Okay, there we go. See, now we have nice feet print, or footprints, excuse me. So as you can see, the footprints are everywhere, like this. I can walk on the snow. It's really, there we go. You can kind of see it. If I wanted to fix that, I would just raise the footprint up a little bit. When I was moving it underneath this foot, if I had brought it up a little higher, you'd be able to see it on that snow a little better. Now, here, let's come back to the porch. Say you want your footprint to only show up on that snow and not on anything else. Oops. What you want to do is you want to come back in here. I want an X to get this back up. Come back to your sound. And for this, you want to scope back into your emitter. You want to come over here to input and output. Oh, wait, where am I? Oh, I'm sorry. No, this is not, you don't come into there just yet. So, sorry, I just did this before and I'm trying to remember everything as I go. Basically, you want to bring this over here, give yourself some space. You're going to need to come back in here to gadgets. You want to come back to sensors and output. And you want to come over here to the impact sensor. And you want to drag this over here. And basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to tell it when I impact a certain something and my foot is impacting, then it will emit. So here, let me show you as an example. So we're also going to need one more thing. We need to come over here to logic and processing, and we're going to need an AND gate. All right, so you want to scope into your impact sensor, and you want to say, whenever I am touching an object that is labeled scenery, right here, and you want to do, you don't want to do bumping, you want to do touching. So touching right here. And you want to bring this to A on your AND gate. And I'll explain it in just a second. And this right here, this is the foot impact. You want to take this off of there and bring it to your B port right here. Right, and the result will be to emit that footprint. So what this is saying is when I am touching something labeled scenery and my foot is impacting the ground or whatever my foot is touching, then it will emit the footprint. So now what we got to do is got to come over here to this snow, highlight it all, L1 and square to bring it up, and we want to come over here to tags, labeling, and ownership. We want to set this as a scenery object. So now everything in here is, well, here, let me say it this way. The snow right here is the only thing in here that's labeled scenery. So that and statement will only be true when my character is touching the snow and his foot is impacting the ground. So if we play it, you'll see. See, no more footprints. Doesn't matter when I'm touching. Nothing matters. But when I get on the snow, there it is. See? Coming off the snow, no footprint. On the snow, footprints. There you go. Alright, well that's going to be it for this episode of Ink Brothers. I hope you guys enjoyed it and learned something. Leave in the comments, you know, if you want us to cover anything else or learn how to do something else so we can go ahead and show you how to do it. And yeah. Thanks for watching.